So welcome back to the channel. In today's video I want to talk to you about a technique that I always try to use to get home with more interesting photos. Sometimes I only get one image during a trip, but since I've been using this technique I seem to have increased the number of shots that I'm satisfied with when I got back home. This technique is something I call the don't move technique. What I mean with that is that if you encounter conditions that are really good with beautiful light, beautiful atmospheric conditions, there's no need to wander around like a headless chicken hoping to find something. Just stay in one spot and see what you can do over there. Can you change, for example, a different lens or a different angle? Can you look at a different direction? Can you change your subject into a different tree or a different view? But don't move too much. And with the shots that I'm going to show you in this video, I often only move about maybe 10 meters or something that I'm walking in. And a good thing that you can do is just throw your bag somewhere on the ground and just take that as your main point. And from that point, only move 10 meters around it to see if you can find something. And that's exactly what happened here in the images that I am going to show you on this video. Another good example or a tip is if you encounter some foggy conditions. For example, I get in my car and go and drive, and I always stop at the first area that's interesting with fog. And I never drive further if there is fog in the first area. Why? There's no guarantee that the fog is there when you drive further. And that's the same for these images. There's no guarantee that you will find something when you walk further, but you've got something beautiful right in front of you. So let me show you these occasions where I use this technique. This first situation is in Belgium. This is actually, I think, the second or third video that I ever recorded for this YouTube channel. Some crazy conditions. You know, it was a really bad day. I'll put a link up here if you've never seen this video. I think it's totally worth watching. But it's some of the most extreme conditions that I ever photographed in. And once I entered the dead forest area, I took a lot of interesting images, like these dead trees over here. And you could really work with those minimalistic shots. And just by moving for about 10 meters, looking to the front or the back, I could find all kinds of different compositions in those trees. And this shot that you're looking at right now is one that I often still use in lectures that I do. And also this grouping of trees, some shot that I just really like, and just fantastic conditions there. This is just one example of an area where I did this, but also in this particular morning, which is actually quite the opposite. I think it was recorded maybe a month or 2 months after that last video you've seen. I'll also put a link up here to this video. Some beautiful golden foggy sunrise shots. And I was just walking around this lake that you see here, and from this position I only moved for about 10 meters and I shot a couple of completely different images. For example, this one a little bit of more zoomed into this water, or a portrait shot where I used the grass to lead towards the tree and towards the sun. But also if I move a little bit to the left, I got some beautiful light rays there. And also this little tree that was a little bit more to the back of me, facing away from the sun, so this is more side lit. It was just crazy conditions that morning, and I just really like to use that technique. And this is another lake in Austria that I photographed, and if you look at the little church that you're seeing on the opposite side of the lake, this is way before sunrise. You can see it on the alpenglow on the peaks. But when I waited until the sun was up for quite some time, I think maybe 15 or 20 minutes, I took this shot, and it's actually from the same spot as I was, maybe 10 meters or something to the right side. I couldn't go much further because then I would have gone swimming. But those colors, those atmosphere, it was just an amazing spot there. And from the exact same spot, looking more to the right side of the lake, I took this upside down image with the mountain top in the reflection, and also this reflection shot with just two sides. It was just an amazing lake there. There was no need for me to wander around. I just wanted to see those specific spots. This lake in Scotland that I visited, yeah, maybe 2.5 years ago, I just drove there in my car and noticed this beautiful light through the window, parked the car, got out and took this image. And I just tried to look if there was something else. And a technique that I also try to use when I have a shot like this, I always try to look, okay, I've got something more wide angle here. What if I can look at something more abstract here? And that's a technique that I started to use from this spot. And I found this zoomed version. It's actually, the trees are on the right side of this image. And it's just a 300mm shot laying flat on the ground. We're using the water as a real abstract layer of the reflection. I really like this shot, and I also tried a couple of different shots that worked less on this specific location. You can see there are some lit up trees in the back here at that first shot, and I just tried to zoom in and create something abstract there, but I never got something that really satisfied me from this. And also these reeds in the foreground, these were just on the side of me, and later I used a bit of a telephoto to shoot more away from the sun. So but the best are those two first shots. But I could have wandered around after the first shot and then just never caught that abstract one with all those tree trunks. In this occasion also here in the Netherlands, this is an area that I quite often visited in the past, and I just took a panorama here before sunrise. And when the sun rose, it was a clear blue sky, it was pretty hard light, and a lot of photographers next to me just wandered off, and I'll put a link up here to this video that you can see it. There were about 20 or 30 people there, and at the moment the sun was up, everyone left because everyone said, oh, the light is bad. And I was thinking, what about this little piece of fog in this valley? So I started to zoom into it, and I shot this particular image, totally different from the first one, and you can really see that warm glow of light coming into this image. Then a couple of seconds later I thought, what if I zoom in even further to maybe with my 100 to 400 lens, and I shot to the side with this image. So this is more to the right side, and I was facing the sun, was on this side. But then I turned back to that first image and I shot this beautiful golden image in the bottom of that valley, and you can see it's the same spot as these trees over here, but just a complete different lens on the same moment creates a completely different image. That's what I started to do more and more and more. Just keep my interest in one specific area and see what can I find here. This is from last summer in Denmark, where I walked into this tower on the Himmelbjerg. There were some beautiful layers of fog through the valleys and the hills around me, and I thought, if I get to the highest point, and there were actually maybe 2 square meters up there that I can move in, but it was an amazing experience to stand there. And if you see at the variety of shots that I took from the top of that tower, by just standing up there doing absolutely nothing else than looking outside of those windows, and I just tried to look at what images are totally different than the ones that I shot before. And you can see that I've got some really large variety of different shots from the exact same spot. This is an example where I just thought, what looks completely different or what looks completely out of this world, and you can see the clouds in the bottom, and then this tree line, and then the grasslands in the back. And usually it's the other way around. You got the grasslands, tree, and then the clouds above. But in this image it's completely the other way around, and that's what I just like about this specific image. Here also just all these layers of trees going to the back. I thought maybe I'd try a portrait shot, and this was an exceptionally good morning of photography, and I don't come across those mornings very often, but when I do, it's just absolutely amazing. And when finally the light was getting a little bit too hard, I just got back in the car, drove down the mountain. Actually, I wanted to go back to my house, but when I got back down from the mountain, I drove into those foggy valleys, and then I got out of the car at a lake, and I shot this very minimalistic shot of these little bushes, And a couple of minutes later, I shot this image that ended up in the top 3 of National Geographic. But this is all not too far away from each other. You know, this the reach that you're seeing here is just a couple of meters further than this shot. It might be 50 meters or something. But yeah, it's just yeah, a beautiful day of photography that gave me maybe 5, 6 or 7 shots that could go straight into my portfolio. So before we continue the video, I want to talk about a sponsor of this video. The clothing that I'm wearing right now is from a company called Trail Threads, and it's partly sponsored. So I got a decent discount. I still had to pay for it myself, but I got a little discount, and there's a discount code underneath this video. Trail Thread makes a lot of clothing with outdoor prints on them, and I always search for those things. I really like it, and they have a very good collection of it. And when I ordered my first sweater there, the first thing I noticed, I am a pretty huge guy with 1 meter 90 centimeters, and this clothing just fit me. It's a very long shirts, long sweaters, and especially for people like me, that is very useful. So if you're interested in that, if you're thinking, hey, that looks okay, you like those prints, take a look at the Webshop. They've got some amazing stuff up there. So link in the description if you're interested. And then there's this example of woodland, and there's no YouTube video of this. This was way before I started this YouTube channel. And this forest, I was here with my son that morning, and I actually shot this selfie here. I thought it was a little bit boring without myself, but we just wandered around this little path here for about 10 to 20 meters, walking to the front and walking to the back. To the side, I noticed this image where this beautiful tree was lit up. It was a little bit too fast. I had to anticipate. It would have been much better if I used a polarizer here. You can see it, all those reflections here, those white things on the leaves. It's quite a shame that I didn't use the polarizer here on this scene. But yeah, a couple of meters further, if you look at this first shot, I think me and my son were standing just around the corner in front of me. And we took this particular image, also really nice light coming through with beautiful colors. From another angle, I think maybe 10 meters further than that last shot, I took this image with this cycler going through this forest. And it's all a small piece of road that we walked across, and the light was good, the light rays were good, but we just changed the angle on which we were looking at. We changed the lenses, and we just had a really great time with some amazing images that morning. And this is an example from Tuscany, and I'll put a link up to this video up here, where there were a lot of photographers. I think maybe 50 to 100 people were standing here photographing this sunset. And there were also a lot of drones coming by, and it was just a crazy situation. But everyone there was photographing with a wide angle lens. And I was just thinking, what can I do here different than all those other people? And I started to zoom in a little bit to create more of this atmosphere, more light of this road leading towards the house. I think this was already a pretty nice shot, but I just tried to look, what can I do more? And there was this couple here that I think they were having a wedding shoot or anything, but I thought it was a really nice touch to this particular image. But the further I got into the scene, I was thinking I need something different from anyone else here. And so I started to use a telephoto lens and zoomed into those suppressed trees with a little bit of light on those hills in the back. And even later I shot this image, this beautiful tree, which actually is the same tree as you're seeing in this image here on top of this hill here, but just used a 400mm lens. Something totally different. In Sweden last year, I had the same experience. We couldn't do much. There was just way too much snow to wander around. We decided to stick to this spot that we found on the first day in Sweden and just see what will happen. Just use different lenses, try to make different images. If you look at this scene over here, we really loved this spot, and it was an absolute cracker of an image that we already shot. But then we just decided, hey, let's stay here. Let's see what will happen when we stay here for about an hour or 2 hours or something. So we used a different lens, looked at different angles of this lake, And at one point I noticed these trees here that were the left side of the island that you've seen in the first shot. But then it started to snow and it created a very different magical environment. And you can see here it's the exact same shot, but then in the middle of this blizzard. I love the atmosphere in this particular image. What happened was that snowstorm passed by, and while it passed by, some sunlight appeared from the other side, illuminating all that snow that was coming down. So I quickly switched back to the more wide-angle lens to photograph the island. And if you compare this shot to the first shot, and I'll go back a little bit, you can see that it's got way more minimalistic than this one. And it was an absolute crazy moment here for us to stand there. And this is another spot in Sweden where we just stopped the car next to the road. We did nothing else than stand right in front of the car with some large telephoto lenses and scan across this enormous lake and see what can we photograph from this exact spot. And you can see I photographed these were ice skaters. And when I followed this left ice skater a little bit, I got this very minimalistic shot with someone looking as if it was a shot on the North Pole. And this one also really minimalistic shots of this ice skater or langlaufer. I don't know what he was doing, but all these people on the lake, there was a little boat on the lake, and there were some people walking with some fog above this beautiful forest. There were so many opportunities just next to this lake from one specific spot that was just absolutely amazing for us to be there. So I hope you have a little understanding about when I use this technique and why I use it. And I just always make sure that when I start moving to the next scene, that I looked at all the possibilities that were in that specific scene at that moment. So it does happen sometimes that I wander off and then find something that's even better. It does happen, but somehow I always work with the idea that I can't miss what I don't know is there. So if I wander further and find something that is better, then I take that image at that moment. But if I've missed something, I can't miss it if I haven't seen it, you know. So that's the idea behind it. So I hope you find this video useful, and just try to make the most of your kit of lenses, your diversity of focal ranges, and just look around, give your eyes time to take in the whole scene and just find all these images when the conditions are absolutely phenomenal. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget, please push that thumbs up button, and there is a subscribe button somewhere underneath this video. If you push it and select all on the notification bell, you will get a message when I release my next video. And I just hope to see you on the next video. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.